thoughts on, I think, is this idea of what it is that we're trying to change. So, we've mentioned sort of social norms a lot today, and I think at that point it all gets a little bit muddy, and we're not quite sure exactly what it is that we want to change. And I kind of was hearing a lot from your presentation is, are we thinking about women's and men's roles in parenting, sharing the parental role, in which case, are we fixating a little bit on the nuclear family? Is it about the public-private divide and how much the private sphere needs to be opened up as a sphere of intervention from the state? Is it the education system and the importance? So it's all these things, is advertising. So all of these things seem to be kind of floating around, and I'd just like to get your thoughts on where you think the Lego Foundation and others involved in this area would feel is the most important to focus your attention. What is it that you're hoping to change?
So to deal with these two, we'll take another round, yes.
So the plasticity, you're absolutely right. I think there is some debate, right, because there are some children, this is getting into it's the leading edge of neuroscience really at the moment is the plasticity. And plasticity, for audiences less familiar, means the extent to which the brain keeps forming, changing over the life course, and so that it's not that this happens and the window is closed. The periods that were shown on the map were indicative of sensitivity periods, so that's when your brain, I think, is very open to that, and again that is under question now for some of those. I think there are some though that are really important around social and emotional learning, where they do know, and that was the image of the brain from early on, where children who are in orphanages from birth until age 2 actually are not able to catch up in some of those brain development areas. So there's like this strange area in neuroscience where we know probably a 30% of what we would like to know, but we are increasingly knowing more that the brain is more plastic than we had previously thought. In terms of policy though, we're seeing, so we do know that this period is critically important, and we do still see, I'm thrilled in a way to say that you think there's been some policy shift, because we still see in terms of ministries of education that the average is less than 2% budget on the early years. So I'm not saying that full chunks of the budget should shift that way, but we have seen it as an area that's been underinvested in, and I'd love your thoughts on that, if we're way off base in thinking that, but our perception is it is an area of underinvestment still. Question mark?
Well, I'd just say it's more and more the scholarisation of the early years.
You're running out of time.
Yes, okay.
We'll not be wanting to keep the wait staff over in the main building waiting too long. So,
and I think our social norms agenda, just to answer that, we've been soul searching, and we would still take pushback, but we do see it as we could play a role in thinking together with our partners across the board about how do we reframe nurturing care as a network of invested caregiver responsibility, and shift away from this over focus on maternal and women only as the primary.
So that's one more question.
Yes.
In a few years, a lot of very small children have had quite a lot of interaction with children's television characters and live presenters, and also electronic media.
Yes.
And I know that Lego Corporation is concerned about this with regard to the future of manipulation. I was wondering whether there are any studies of whether this has any effect. Something like Sesame Street a long time ago was meant to be to encourage all sorts of early childhood development, and I don't know if it has any success or is irrelevant to this.
So it goes back to the question of quality. So what from actually with Sesame they have in Bangladesh, I believe it's called Sisimpur. There's a Sesame franchise, but there they have shown that children who are watching Sisimpur together with an invested caregiver for an hour a day are actually they are seeing cognitive development gains from that interaction. I think that though, and in terms of technology in general, I think we're open. But what we deeply know is the value of the human connection and not even play material. You know, that's not our interest as a foundation. As Fingers, it's invested caregiving attention and responsiveness, sensitivity, and be that in a quality ECD setting, or be it at home with grandparents, with parents, with other invested caregivers. Nothing beats that. Yeah. So it's for us, it's caregiving plus. What technology has played a role in, though, is in reaching male caregivers at scale. So in India, for example, a recent report we had was a text message service run by Mitra, together with the government of Maharashtra, was much more effective in reaching male caregivers who had shift work, were not at home necessarily when the face-to-face home visitor is coming, and technology was playing a role in making sure that more caregivers had access to information, because structuring home visitation at hours when all caregivers are magically available is impossible. So, yeah.
Can I use the privilege of the chair to ask a final question, which tries to link, I think, some of what you've been saying to some of our concerns in other sessions by other speakers. I just wondered whether the Lego Foundation has been looking at all about the ways, so many ways in which current economic systems actually don't make this not possible. Make this nurturing care by caregivers on an equal basis impossible. I mean, the poor people that Devaki was talking about, how can they do this when they're struggling for survival in this country? The Sure Start centres, which exactly were trying to do this, have all been cut. So is Lego Foundation paying any attention to these kinds of issues?
Yeah, so we're working, again, very much hand in hand with UNICEF, with BRAC. Our partners are really leading us. We really come with some humility, as I said, but is our role in advocacy, so together as a consortium, so to advocate for policy change, to advocate, as mentioning the G20 this year is making ECD a priority, to advocate equally though for us that we are a corporation and perhaps we can influence some of the norms around corporate policies around paternity leave, because public policy is woefully lacking, and maybe we can influence voluntary
Is the problem of work condition of people who produce Lego is a part of your mission?
Yeah, we look at that, absolutely.
So I'm sure there are lots of people who've got similar pointed questions like this to ask you. It's been very, very interesting, but I think we've got to call it a halt now. And I'm going to thank Devaki and Zelda for a very interesting final session of today. Tell us what the next steps
one
are.
small thing to say. I'm very sorry. I forgot to introduce my colleague, Neha Chaudhary, who's come with me from India, who is part of everything that I've done, including this presentation. Sorry, that's Neha Chaudhary. She's an M.Phil.
That's great. Well, I think we've had a wonderful afternoon, very wide-ranging, and now as a reward, there's something cool and long waiting for you, where we were near where we came in when we had lunch, for those of you, in the main building there, and then dinner will be right by there. and then there'll be coffee afterwards upstairs, okay? So if you make your way, if you want to leave things here, that's possible, because we'll be coming back here tomorrow, and the room will be locked. But otherwise, take your things.
I want to thank you.